The method to mount the current shunt for my DC load changed after I got the American Beauty 175 watt soldering iron. The ability to solder to the 1/4 inch thick copper bar allowed me to simplify the connections. I'm using some 1/16 inch thick by 1 inch wide copper bar to make the connections to the current shunt. 2 bars bent into U shape will be used. One about 1.5 inches in height after being bent, the other about 1 inch. The longer of the two will be notched on the soldered end, as it will have to go between 2 mounting holes that are in the 1/4 inch bar. Yeah, I'm going to have to straighten that. Just going to cut off the part that extends below the bottom of the 1/4 inch bar. Should still leave me with plenty of surface area. Using a Scotch-Brite pad to clean the copper, I had already wiped it clean with alcohol, so just want to get rid of any oxides. Then I'm coating the mating surfaces with flux, same flux I use for PC boards. Then kinda clamping. Well, can barely call that clamping. Anyway, holding the 2 pieces together. Now can start to apply some heat. Can see that the parts don't quite fit flush, but I expect solder to fill in the gaps. Getting the whole thing held firmly is kind of a challenge. Wood does work great for this. I think I may have to make me a wooden vise just for such occasions. Just keeping the heat on it. Can see here the thin bar has reached the melting temperature, but the thicker bar hasn't. And can see right when the thick bar reaches the melting temperature. Then just put the solder to it. That looks good. The longer bar and shorter U-piece get the same cleaning and treatment. Add the flux and clamp the pieces together. A little flux and solder at the iron tip does help transfer the heat better. This iron puts out a lot of heat. Then just a matter of feeding the solder to the joint. Once the solder starts to bulge a bit from the joint, I think that's enough. I have two spade terminals to attach. One has to attach to the long positive terminal bar. I'm mounting it right on the side of the bar, and this is a lot of copper to heat up. Even with the smaller area of contact with the iron tip, really does a good job of getting the copper up to temperature. I'm really pleased with that. The most important thing here is for my hand not to touch the copper bar. I can feel the heat coming off of it. I'm going to add a bit more solder. Adds a bit more physical strength to the terminal. I don't want it falling off. The second spade terminal gets soldered to the thin bar that is attached to the negative terminal assembly. This small thin copper is so easy for the iron to heat up. Again, I'm going to add some extra solder just to keep the spade terminal from pulling off. The shunt will get bolted right here. I did get the heights of my U-shaped copper pieces off by about 0.05 inches, so it's leaning just a bit. No effect operationally. I'll just notice it every time I look at it. Really happy with this American Beauty soldering iron. The 175 watts does a lot more than I was expecting. It does take a bit to heat up some of the larger pieces of copper. If I were doing hundreds of these joints, I would want an even higher powered iron. But I think the 175 watts is a really good balance. Small enough to get in some tight spots, large enough to solder some pretty thick copper. I think that this is the last of the big copper work for this project. At least I hope so. The leaning shunt may force me to break back out the iron, but I'm fighting that urge hard. Thank you for watching.